Hello friends, and welcome back or welcome to my channel. I'm Lisa. 2 years ago, I made a video of my top 10 reasons of why I don't want kids, and that is the most viewed video on my channel. And in the 2 years since I made that video, I've really seen the conversation around child-free living and women who don't want to have kids really change. It used to be just kind of a little niche conversations here and there, and now I'm seeing their entire channels devoted to this topic, and it's just really fascinating to see how that's evolved, especially as throughout the world birth rates are falling and fewer women are having children and they're choosing other things to do with their lives. So it's just really interesting and kind of cool as a child-free person to see that taking off. Today, August 1st, is International Child-Free Day, a day to celebrate those of us who have chosen to do other things with our lives besides become parents. It is something that we should feel really good about. It is something that's worth celebrating. When I made my original video, 10 Reasons I Don't Want Kids, I thought at the time, there are so many more reasons than this. So I'm finally getting around to 10 more reasons. And that's what this video is. So these aren't in any particular order, but let's get into it. The first reason is parental regret. Some people actually do regret having children. Some people find out that parenthood is a lot different than what they were imagining if they had known the reality of it versus what they had imagined it to be like. They may have not done it. Those kinds of feelings of regret is really scary to me. I'm a person who gets buyer's remorse and I have trouble committing to things. So the idea of making this huge lifetime commitment and you can't take it back. There's no return policy. So that idea is pretty scary to me. Up to this point, I've never regretted the decision to not have kids. In fact, I would often say it's the best decision I ever made in my life. So I'm much more worried about regretting the decision to have kids than regretting the decision to not have kids. The second reason is that it's an unpaid job. Being in America where I live, there is very little compensation. You get a little tax break from the government and that's it. Basically, you pay a lot to do this job. Not only is it unpaid, but you pay a lot to do it. Kids are really expensive. I talked about that in my last video. I don't want to do work for free. If I'm going to be working, I want to be compensated. Also, I'm anti-capitalism, so I don't like the idea of producing more workers who are just going to be exploited by this machine in which we live. So by not having kids, not only is my labor less exploited, but I won't be bringing in more people to be exploited by capitalism. Reason number 3 is undesirable genes. And before you accuse me of being a eugenicist or something, I really don't care what anyone else does with their genes. But specifically, I don't have a desire to pass on my genes at all. I have a hereditary chronic illness that's super no fun, and I don't want to risk passing that down to a child, or maybe some illness that's in my genes that's not expressed in me, but mixing with the wrong partner, we would have a child with some genetic disease. Not only do I not want to deal with that, I don't want to put another human through that. And there's one way to avoid that, and that's to not have kids. Reason 4 is the added stress. Even if children add joy to offset some of the added stress, it's still there. Stress is a universal part of parenthood. My goal is to have a very low stress or stress-free life as much as I can. I'm always looking for ways to reduce stress in my own life and not increase it. To me, the added potential joy of having a child would just be offset by way too much stress. Number 5 is sleep. I value good sleep. I am a sometimes insomniac, so I really understand the difference between waking up and feeling well rested and waking up and feeling groggy and going through the day like that. And I cannot imagine months and months of that on end, or potentially years of that in parenthood where you're not getting a full night's sleep. Again, I've experienced it, and good sleep is something that I aspire to, and I feel like kids would just get in the way of that. 6 is diapers. I've never changed a diaper, and I really don't want to. I feel like some people would say, oh, not wanting to change a diaper is such a trivial reason for not wanting to have children. But to me, it's really as good as any other reason. It's not really trivial at all. I don't want to deal with another human being's bodily fluid. Again, coming back to the idea of unpaid work, that is a job. That's a job people get paid for, to deal with someone else's bodily fluids. And I don't want to do that. So yeah. Reason number 7 is AI and technology. I didn't grow up with the internet, at least as a younger child. And I've seen the progression of technology, and I've seen the increasing alienation and loneliness, just the toll that it's taken on people's individual mental health and the tone of society in general too. I really feel like the internet has made people more combative, more tribal and cloistered almost. And I feel like it's been really negative and in a totally frightening way. I wouldn't want to bring in someone to that. I already feel sympathy towards people who are digital natives and didn't ever get to experience the world before the internet. You know, it's not just nostalgia, it truly was a better place back then. Layering on top of that, AI is this technology that we really just have no idea what impact that's going to have on our world. So to bring someone into a world with this rapidly changing technology, which has been very negative for humanity over the last 20 years, I don't see that projection changing where all of a sudden it's going to become a positive thing. I think it's going to go increasingly in a negative direction. I just feel like it's too risky, and the potential for someone to have a really negative experience because of the technological landscape is really high, and I wouldn't want to do that to someone. And that brings me to number 8, which is the classic antinatalist stance of the morality of bringing another human being into existence without their consent. It's the whole, I didn't ask to be born, mom, kind of argument, right? Kids don't ask to be here, and they may wind up here unhappy or depressed or whatever. And you brought that creature into existence. Because a person can't consent to being here, I do feel like it's not moral to have a child. Now, I personally love being alive, and I'm full of joy and very happy, although like everybody, I go through different moods and stuff like that. Overall, I'm very glad to be here, and I love life. I also didn't consent to be here, and I obviously wouldn't miss living if I wasn't here. Not all child-free people are antinatalist. Many are live and let live, and that's totally fine too. I really do think, from my own personal morals, I don't think it's right to bring someone into this world without their consent. Number 9 is potential postpartum complications, postpartum mental health issues like depression and anxiety and psychosis and things like that. That can hit some women hard who've never experienced those things in their life. And that's very frightening. It's kind of like a roulette wheel. You don't know if you're going to be one of the women who are affected by that. I would be very worried about what would happen both in pregnancy and postpartum with the great hormone fluctuations that you experience, and how that can impact your mental health, and even how it can make you not think straight, and not be yourself and change your personality and all those things. That's very frightening. And so one way to avoid that is to just not go through pregnancy. Number 10 is the environment or environmentalism. I don't want to contribute any more than I already do to the degradation of our planet. And I think it's really funny that people sometimes frame being child-free as being selfish. It's actually the complete opposite, and that's a myth that really needs to be debunked. Child-free people actually use way less resources on the planet than people with children. So by me being child-free, I am leaving more resources for your kids to use. It's literally the opposite of selfish. It's quite selfless. I'm not contributing any more to resource usage or environmental degradation. In fact, my impact is so much less by not having kids. Therefore, those resources and that environmental preservation is left for other people to enjoy and other future generations to enjoy. The idea that child-free people are selfish is just totally backwards to me. It's really completely the opposite. So those are just 10 more reasons why I don't want kids. I probably could come up with another list of 10 more reasons on top of the 20 I've already done now. But yeah, I would love to hear about your reasons for having kids or not having kids, or where you stand on this issue. Basically, I've gotten a ton of support on my last video, including from people who are parents and are like, yeah, I totally get your point on all this stuff anyways. And it's really cool to hear from those people too. Anyways, yeah, so that's all I've got for today. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.